Hi, Ben here from Trident Fly Fishing. Today we're doing a very special rod review. We are doing a mid-priced American-made shootout. What does that mean? We're comparing the Winston Nexus to the Orvis Recon. While they've produced a rod under $500 for quite some time, the Nexus is a little bit of a change of pace in that it's a much more high-performance rod geared towards the everyman angler. Next up is the Orvis Recon, which is based on the very popular and Trident Shootout winning Orvis Helios 2. What makes this Recon different is it's not an overly fast rod and it's based on a really great taper. What's also a little bit different about it is that it's built in the US, unlike some of Orvis's other value-priced rods. Let's go in and take a look at some of the components and the fit and finish on both of these rods, and then we'll get out and cast them. So starting out at the reel seat, there's not a whole lot of difference. Both have nice burled wood inserts. Both have sort of a gunmetal gray uplocking reel seat. The Recon does have a double uplocking feature, which keeps your reel nice and tight, but it's really not all that necessary for freshwater fishing. Moving on to the grip, again, very, very similar. Both are reverse half wells, both very comfortable. The grip on the Recon is a little bit skinnier throughout, so if you have a smaller hand, it's probably going to be a better fit for you. But overall, not a lot of difference. The cork, I would say, is a tiny, tiny bit better on the Recon, but it's hard to say if I just got a bad Nexus or a really good Recon. Moving on up to the blank, I think the big victory goes to Winston here. The Nexus, other than its color, is virtually indistinguishable from its top-of-the-line Boron series. It's just beautifully finished, which isn't to say that the Orvis is a slouch, but it just doesn't look as nice as this Winston, which is almost perfect in every way. The only other thing worth pointing out on both of these rods is that the Recon does come with alignment dots, which we really like because they save you a lot of time on the water. In terms of guides, both of these rods are very similar. They both have chrome snake guides and chrome stripping guides. The only noticeable difference is that the stripping guide on the Recon is a little bit bigger. We're not sure why they did this or if it really even matters. So you've got two very similar rods in look and feel. Let's go out and cast them and see how they perform there. Up first, at our mid-price 5-weight shootout, we've got the Winston Nexus at 30 feet. And I gotta say, I'm really happy with the performance of this rod in close. It's just what you'd expect from Winston, nice and soft. I'm able to hit this target quite easily at this distance. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 at 30 feet. First thing I noticed when I picked up the Recon was how much lighter it felt in hand than the Nexus. The Recon weighs in about 2 5/8 ounces. The Nexus is about 3, but it's really obvious how much lighter this is in hand. So I'm thinking that's gonna give it a pretty big advantage. At 30 feet, I'm liking this rod. I'm thinking these rods are both pretty equivalent though in terms of accuracy. I'm gonna give both rods a 9 out of 10 at 30 feet. Moving the Nexus and the Recon back to 45 feet. I've got the Nexus up first again, and it's pretty clear that this rod is gonna be a great trout rod. It's really accurate at this distance. I'm able to throw nice tight loops, and it has plenty of line speed, even if you were casting with a lot of wind. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 at 45 feet. So casting the Recon at 45 feet, it's clear that this is the easier rod to cast at this distance. I'm getting really tight loops without any effort, and it's really easy to hit this target. In terms of accuracy, I'd say they're about the same, but this is just a more fun rod to cast at 45 feet. I'm gonna give the Recon a 9.5 out of 10 at this distance. So bringing both of these rods back to 60 feet, I expected the Nexus to not be so hot at this distance. But man, first cast, boom, nailed the target. Second cast, boom, nailed it. So it's clearly got enough gusto and certainly accurate enough to do well at this distance, but it's not the easiest rod to cast. You definitely have to slow it down and work that double haul to get it to perform at longer distances. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10 at 60 feet. Let's see how the Recon does. So bringing the Recon back to 60 feet, we've got a rod that is definitely faster than the Nexus, and that simply makes it easier to cast at this distance. You get nicer loops and you can do it a lot easier. Overall though, if I had perfect conditions, I think the Nexus is a little bit more accurate. I'm gonna give this rod a 9 out of 10 at 60 feet. So after casting both of these rods, it's pretty clear that they are remarkably similar. A couple of key differences is the Recon has a slightly softer tip, whereas the Nexus has a faster tip, but flexes more in the midsection. The other key difference that I noticed was the Recon is a lot lighter in hand, and that makes it a little bit more fun to fish. On the other hand, I thought the Nexus was a little bit more accurate overall, despite the fact that I had to slow down my casting stroke a little bit. You can't really go wrong with either of these rods. I would say for the all-around fisherman, the Recon is probably gonna be a slightly better choice. But if you're fishing a lot of dries, and particularly a lot of streams where accuracy is paramount, I would say the Nexus is gonna be a better bet. In terms of line selection, we used SA GPX, which I thought was perfect for the Recon and maybe a touch heavy for the Nexus. You could definitely drop down to a standard weight line on that Winston if you wanted to. That line was mounted onto our favorite reel, which is the Lamson Lightspeed 2 and the winner of our 5-weight reel shootout. So in conclusion, we've got two great American-made products from two great American brands. Both these rods have great warranties, and no matter which way you decide to go, you're gonna love it. Once again, the Recon retails for $425 and the Nexus for $485. Both are available with free shipping at tridentflyfishing.com. If you have questions about these rods or just want to talk to one of our gear experts, give us a call at 888-413-5211 or email us 24/7 at support@tridentflyfishing.com. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment below and don't forget to like it. I'm Ben. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.